Over the past 24 hours, we have had some, well, UFO leaks, I suppose, from the National Archives, as the government have been forced to upload unredacted and unclassified files that they have just chosen not to publish to the world through the National Archives from the Chuck Schumer Amendment. And Reddit have done their absolute best of just finding absolutely any little nook and cranny and just speck of information about UFOs. And today we're going to look at some of the UFO footage and photos that has surfaced from the National Archives that has got people scratching their brains, me included, because some of this stuff, you're like, how did this stuff, like, it's obvious why they were trying to hide this stuff, but how can they deny that aliens are real after seeing this stuff, you know? So, first of all, let's take a look at this one right here, which says, new photos from the UFO archive. Hi, people. I went through the photographs from the case file numbers 4750 through 12615, May 2nd, 1957, February to through to February 1969. So that's almost over a decade worth of photos. And ISO files 2 of 2 and snap screenshots of the photos, which I found the most interesting. I would recommend everybody to look up themselves because you can't see the whole photos, so the screenshot's going to make 2 posts, all the rest of it. So basically, these are some of the best photos that they stumbled across. First of all, straight off the bat, this one. I mean, there's no denying that this, I mean, let's consider the time scale here, the 50s and the 60s. Flight was basically in its infancy compared to what it is today. We didn't really have commercial airliners, or if there were commercial airlines, it was, again, very much in its infancy. World War II was when we kind of saw the birth of aircraft and stuff like that. So up until, you know, this is probably 30 years on, it's definitely not, like, this can't be a drone. Drones weren't a thing. Maybe it's some kind of rubbish military operation or something like that. I highly doubt it. But this thing definitely looks like your typical flying saucer. Next photo. We've got this one. I mean, this one could be a blimp from what I saw. You know, considering the size, we've got some context here with this, what I'm assuming could be a telephone pole. This could be a blimp. Looking at the size of it, the distance from the ground, you know, there's definitely something blimpy about it, and around that time blimps were a thing. So I would definitely, well, I wouldn't definitely say that, but if I was to hedge my bets, I wouldn't label that as a UFO. I would probably go down the route of a blimp. That's my personal opinion though. This one was interesting to me. Now there's multiple ways that this could be described. Okay, it does look like a plane of the era, thinking again the 50s and the 60s. So this could be a typical craft that you would have seen around that time period. And based off of the angle, we can assume that this may be a wing. Basically, because it's black and white and because of the shading, it just looks like one entity. But this could be the body. This little nugget here could be the wing. And it could just be traveling in either that direction or that direction. But again, when I compare this to this gives off, screams UFO vibes, whereas this one, in my opinion, gives off something like a propeller plane, you know, like around what you would see around that time. And then we got this one, which you couldn't get more UFO if you tried. Now, bear in mind, these files have only recently been submitted to the National Archives. So these were hidden by the US government, which gives it a lot of, well, not cause for concern, but I guess cause for concern, because you've got to think, why did they try so hard to hide this? If they didn't want us to think that this was a UFO, then why did they try so desperately hard to make sure that we didn't see it for over 60 years? Begs the question, right? And then you've got this one, which is the exact same craft, but from a different angle and from a different photograph from the looks of it. I can only assume that this is some kind of wall. Someone's peering around the corner and stumbled across this. Again, I can only assume that this is like an infrared photo. I'm assuming we're looking up at the sky here because of the starry night. And I can only assume this is an infrared photo. Whether it's an infrared or it's just the light exposure, or it's a flash photograph, which is bounced off of the material of this craft. I don't know, but it's really hard to find any distinguishing features. So it begs the question of whether it's something human or whether it's something otherworldly. But then there's this one, which looks like it's from a similar... let's turn up the brightness on my... quickly. That makes it a little bit easier to see. So, I mean, whether this looks like a bit more of a triangular craft to me. We've got the outline here, which is a lot darker compared to the sky. Again, we can assume that this is the night sky, but looking at it, this is obviously a photo of a physical photograph. So this could be like damage to the photograph or just grain from the camera. It's really hard to know. But we've got this light bulb at the front, which is really interesting. Again, this is a different angle of this, what I'm assuming is the same craft, because they do look awfully similar, and it looks like it's been rotated. Or maybe this just isn't a craft, and maybe this itself is some kind of weird orb thing, because this here, I don't know, it's really hard to make out what that is. And again, similar photo. I'm assuming that this is just damage to the original photograph, and grain from the camera as well, which is not helping us to distinguish what anything is. I can only assume, again, this is from the same time, but this time there are multiple of these craft. They look like orbs, for sure. Again, another photograph, but this time they're lined up. Again, a hell of a lot more. They seem to be multiplying with each photograph. Again, this could be... It's really impossible to know what is what. And then we've got this. Now, this looks like it could be like some kind of fountain monument. That's the first vibe that I got when I saw it. And then this looks like a satellite, doesn't it? Like, you know, like a typical satellite with the big dish and then the pointy bit at the end, which, like, you know, receives and sends signals. That's just the vibe that I got from it. I'm not sure what I'm assuming we're supposed to be looking up here. This is obviously people down here. You can tell because they got distinguished arms. There's the clothing, there's the torso, there's the legs, and there's whatever it is that we're supposed to be seeing up there. This one, obviously, we can now see the damage of actual photographs, and then two cigar-shaped UFOs shooting off. It definitely looks like they're traveling at this point. They don't look like they're stationary. Based off of the photo and the way that they're kind of a bit more distorted and fuzzy around the edges, does give off the illusion that they might be moving. Then there's this one, again similar to the one that we've had a few photographs ago. More of the orbs, more of the orbs, more of the orbs again. This one gives off a lot more of a flying saucer vibe. Again, this one looks really like a flying saucer. We've got a white light on the base, right slap bang in the middle, and then we've just got this dark silhouette, and I'm assuming this is a building here, and obviously we've got the trees here. So we can see the sheer size and scale of this thing. So that's just the first batch of photos that we got from the National Archives that were hidden by the government. Might I add, once again, hidden from the government. Now, this one is more interesting images from the National Archives. So this item was produced or created on June 4th, 1964. Flying saucers, NAID. Basically, this is the reference number in the National Archives for this. It's even labelled flying saucer. Look at this. Colour photo. I'm assuming... I don't know if colour photos were... Let me just search. When did colour photos come into play? When did colour photography start? The first colour photograph was created in 1861. So yeah, there's a lot of possibility that this could well and truly just be not recreated, but an actual photograph. I thought it was a lot later for coloured photographs. So, but there we go. Yeah, so there's a good possibility that this is a genuine photograph. But based off of the colour, we've now got depth, texture. We've got a lot more to play with. This obviously looks like it could be the same craft coming in at a 90-degree angle and then going horizontal, which, I mean, again, it's in the National Archives, recently released by the US government. Why was it hidden for so long? You know, why was this hidden? What's the purpose? This one obviously is like clearly the person that took the photo was in motion trying to capture this thing moving. Here it is again. And then there's with the sign of the times with the car and the craft right up there, which actually does give us a lot of scale about the size of this craft, considering this is off in the distance, this car's quite close up, and this is almost the same size as the car. So it gives a lot of depth perspective and size perspective about this craft. Anyway, we move on because we're not stopping there. There are a lot of photos to get through. First one is just insane. Lots of photos, artifacts, wreckage. Seems to be reverse engineering. I have no idea about the last one is. They've been a lot of this stuff on a long time, going on a long time. Now, I will say this could be the proof that we've been looking for of reverse engineer programs. So this is just labeled Exhibit J, jet at high speed in the fog-shrouded sky. Right? This looks like it could be a blimp of some description. This one, it looks like it's been retrieved by cranes off a dock of some kind. It looks like they might be pulling whatever the hell this is out. Oh, no, we're not looking at that at all. We're actually looking at this. That's my bad. I assume that nope, ignore me. We're looking at this thing right here, and this thing right here, whatever that is. And then moving forwards, we've got, again, I can only assume that this is a blimp. That looks like it could be a blimp as well. France, flying saucer. Again, French flying saucer. Sorry, that's a mouthful to get out. French flying saucer. That does look like a lot more like a flying saucer in my opinion. And these blips, I'm assuming they're supposed to be orbs, just like the image is reversed. Oh, so downgraded at 3-year intervals, declassified after 12 years. That's interesting. So this is now unclassified. Looks like a flying saucer, could be a glitch with the image. Just my opinion, based off of the texture of it. Could be a flying saucer. Good possibility. Scrolling through, we got Exhibit A of what could be some kind of retrieval program. Flying saucer alleged specimen. So this is apparent specimens of a flying saucer. Scrolling through again, now we've got some photos of what looks like a taken apart and exhibited flying saucer, right? Like we're starting to get to see bits that have just seemingly been taken off. Really interesting stuff. Oh, hang on. This looks like it could be more than just a Oh no, that's a hand. Right, that looked like it was a neck, but based off of, you can see the fingers, the knuckles there. This is a hand. Not 100% sure what we're supposed to be seeing with this. It's not very clear. But, again, like I say, we're not finished. So, this looks like, well, we've got the case study here. This is from February 1969, and ISO files part 2 of the screenshots. So, this is where the reverse engineer program seems to be looking like it's a likely possibility. Right, so we've got cigar-shaped stuff and all the rest of it, and we've got blips and blimps and flying saucers. But when we get into this stuff in this territory right here, this is where it starts to get really, really interesting, because there were some photos right at the very beginning. Look, it looks like it's in some kind of barn. This disc-shaped thing. Crashed, clearly. But what is it? Is this proof of a reverse engineer program from the 60s? Who knows? Who knows? But the big question on my lips is, why were these hidden? If this is, again, nothing to worry about, like we're supposed to believe, then why was it hidden for so long and took for the Chuck Schumer amendment to come into play for this stuff to be uploaded to the National Archives? It really boggles my mind, and it's like, yeah, no, I'm not believing that. What do you guys think of this stuff? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below while you're down there. Jump scare the hell out of that like button, and until next time, I'll speak to you later.